call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So the first item up on our agenda tonight is the Montgomery County Prothonotary presentation on the Hope Card program, a resource for domestic violence survivors. So I will turn it over to the Prothonotary. That mic is on. It's a hot mic.
It's going to be on in a second.
Oh, it's not on. It's not a hot mic. I think it moves if you want to raise it.
Is it working?
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Just squeeze underneath
The bar?
Squeeze up. There you go. Squeeze. There you go.
It's like a test, you know. I think I passed. And you passed the test, Councilwoman. You pronounced Prothonotary correctly.
I had some videos to help.
I'm sure you were practicing in the back. That was like the executive session. I just want to thank you all for having me out. My name is Noah Marlier. I think I know most of you. It's great to see you all. And I am the Montgomery County Prothonotary. So with me is my outreach director, Ann Cornell. And we have a little presentation that's going to start off just explaining or reminding you what a Prothonotary is and what the office does. If we can go to the next slide. So about the Prothonotary's office, just kind of an overview. Just a reminder, this is not the criminal matters. That's your clerk of courts, Lori Schreiber, but almost every other kind of filing. And your solicitor, John Walco, just left. I know you have a fill-in tonight. John Walco and I go way back. He's a great attorney. Whenever he files any sort of legal filings for anything, it goes through the Prothonotary's office, right? If somebody responds to those filings, goes to the Prothonotary's office. So 9 out of 10 folks that I talk to and I tell them what I do, they go, what is that? And 1 out of 10 goes, I got divorced and I got the paperwork from your office. I say, yes, that is true. So divorces, any sort of, if you're in an accident, an offender bender, and you sue somebody, right, in a personal injury case, you file it through my office. If they respond, which they will, you know, and it goes back and forth, all those legal papers go through the Prothonotary's office. We also handle some very, very sensitive matters. So if someone is evicted here in Horsham by the local district judge, Judge Stevens evicts that person, they can appeal it to Norristown via my office. So we deal with landlord-tenant appeals. And we also deal with name changes. So as some of you know, I run a name change clinic every year. It caters to the LGBTQ plus community. This is an important issue for folks that want to change their name. That's crucial, right? It's your identity. It's very, very important to you. And that filing comes through my office. What I'm here for tonight is a very specific kind of filing, and that's protection from abuse, PFA. So you may know it as a restraining order. And the reason most of us know it as restraining orders is because that's what they're called in movies, that's what they're called in TV shows, because in California, where most of those movies and TV shows are made, they're called restraining orders. But a protection from abuse is the same thing. And it varies state by state, the specific protections, but it's basically a restraining order. So that's all the different kinds of things that you can file in my office. If we could just go to the next slide, please. So talking about PFAs specifically, just to give you an idea of how bad domestic violence is or how prevalent it is in our county, we get 30 to 50 petitioners a week petitioning for a PFA. And listen, domestic violence crosses over all demographics. We do see women abusing men. We see same-sex couples where there's abuse. We see adult children abusing their elderly parents. But the vast majority of people we see are women who are being abused by their male boyfriend or their husband. They come into my office. They sometimes have bruises on their face, on their arms from being abused that morning or the night before. Oftentimes they have children in tow. The county does have a child care program, but oftentimes women do not want to send their children to that child care, and so those kids stay with them throughout the process. In my office, we've created a very, I think, much more welcoming environment. We did a book drive. Again, my outreach director, Ann Cornell, did an incredible book drive where we got thousands of books. So they're out there, and sometimes the children walk away with them, and that's okay. But we've tried to create a little bit more of a welcoming environment. But it's a brutal situation, right? These people coming in are going through a tough time. And this is the process, and I give you this process not to make it daunting for people, but just to be very honest about what they're going to have to do, and then tell you about how we're trying to improve the process. So a woman comes in in the morning, let's say 9 o'clock. She goes to court administration, which is the same floor, 1 Montgomery Plaza, the tall building across from the courthouse, same floor as the Prothonotary's office. They go to court administration, they get a 28-page packet. It's not the county's packet, that's a state packet, and just this past week we were talking to Senator Maria Collette's folks about how we can try to address that packet, and I think it does not need to be 27 pages. But right now the reality is it's 27 pages. They fill that out, they come over to the Prothonotary's office. My analysts are incredible. We have 4 analysts and a supervisor, PFA analysts dedicated solely to addressing those survivors and their needs. And then we have a supervisor who's been with us for 25 years. She's incredible. But our analysts will pump in the information from the packet into the state system. So you have a wonderful law enforcement here. I see one of your lieutenants. Some folks have state police right further out west. But the police know to look for that information in what's called PFAD, okay? And it's the state system. So we pump in the information from the application into that state system. Then the survivor goes to court, goes before a judge, and tells her story, and the judge determines if that whatever she's describing rises to the level of abuse that a PFA, temporary PFA, is needed. Come back to my office, and my PFA analysts have to pump in the information from the order from the judge, whether it's denied or granted. Then they've got to go to the sheriff to have it served on all parties, because within 10 days you have to have a final hearing. And the person being accused has absolutely the right to come to that final hearing and say, no, actually that's not what happened, and then the judge weighs the credibility of the two parties, and a final PFA may be issued. So that's the process. I just wanted to run that through for you again, because I think it's important to know that it can be challenging, right? And what are we going to do as elected officials to make it a little bit easier?
So timeline,
yes.
no, a timeline. So that process, so what do they accomplish in a day? So are they there all day to get a temporary?
Yes.
And then how long does it take to come back to get a permanent?
It's a very, very good question. So this process, we have people come in at 8:30 in the morning. They may not get out till 4:30. Now here's why that's really, really important. The courts cut off, this is kind of like another thing that we just recently fought for, and I'm very proud of this. The courts historically, for as long as anyone can remember, have been cutting off taking in a petitioner around 1 o'clock. So you got to get there between 8:30 and 1, basically. You can get an emergency PFA from your local district judge when the courts are closed for business. That's how the law reads. And so for a long, long time, as long as anyone can remember, from about 1:30 to 4:30, there was a gap where you couldn't get an emergency PFA from your local district judge because the courts weren't technically closed for business, they're open. But the courts weren't allowing people to come in if they came after that time. So there was a period of time, about 3.5 hours, where you could not get a PFA in any way, shape, or form. I worked with the courts, and just recently, the president judge cut an order saying, and I'm very proud of this is what I've always been advocating for, closed for business means the courts aren't taking petitioners anymore. So when that 1 o'clock deadline comes, and you're turned away from the county courts, you can go to your district judge and get an emergency PFA, which is good until the next morning. Still cumbersome, still frustrating, but it's a really good question because that timeline is really important.
Are we allowed to ask questions along? I was going to ask you if we're allowed to ask questions or if we should hold till the end.
Councilwoman, are you serious? You can absolutely ask questions.
So it can take from 8:30 to 4:30. Does it always take that long, or are there situations, or is it more normal for it to be less time than that? Or
Absolutely. It doesn't always take 8 hours. Sometimes there's issues with the courts. Sometimes there's a backlog. It depends upon how many petitioners we have. There's days where we have 1 or 2 petitioners. There's days where we have 20. It's horrific a horrific fact, but the fact is that on weekends when there's an Eagles game, an Eagles loss, the next day there's abuse. There's an uptick. Super Bowl Sunday, there's an uptick. So you come back in on Mondays, and we sometimes do have 15 to 20, and that's when it can make it longer. But no, it doesn't always take 8 hours. So I don't want to scare people away. You don't necessarily have to have 8 hours. I'm just saying there are issues where it could take that long.
And does the judge handling these, is it just one judge? Are there multiple? If it is just one, is this all they do all day, every day?
There was a judge. I was a district attorney with John Walko about 15 years ago, and there was one judge, Judge Danielle, and she handled all of these, and she wanted to. She is retired. They're spread out over a few different judges. Typically, the newer judges will handle PFAs.
Do they have other things too, or is that what they do all day, every day?
They will handle other matters, some criminal miscellaneous matters. They handle other family matters. This is one of those things. One of the things they handle. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a quick question about the packets, but it's kind of dependent on something I fortunately do not know about, which is fortunate. But PFAs can expire, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if someone needs to come back to get a new PFA, do they have to fill out that packet all over again from scratch, or is that on file, the information?
So it's a really good question. So the typical PFA would be protection anywhere from a few months to 3 years. So if there's a violation, if somebody, as young DAs, again, John Walko and I handle these, there's the first things DAs were allowed to handle, called indirect criminal contempt. If someone violates a PFA, it's quasi-criminal, and PFAs aren't. PFAs are civil matters. They're not criminal. And what the judge doesn't do it beyond a reasonable doubt. The judge will determine preponderance, what's more likely. So it's a civil matter. When it's violated, it's kind of quasi-criminal. There can be jail time involved. So if somebody has a PFA that lasts 3 years from today, anytime over the next 3 years, if that person violates that PFA, they're going to go back in front of a judge for an indirect criminal contempt hearing. After 3 years, the hope and wish is that things have, settled down or separated or whatever, and it's not an issue anymore, but they would have to come back in for a new PFA if that were the case. Is everything going to be on file? I believe they have to still fill out the packet, because there could be new circumstances.
Of course.
There could be weapons involved now.
It could be is this information on this page the same?
Right. So it would just be filling it all out again, and there could
Right.
be other kids involved. Things could be different.
Sure. And with that in mind, when you talked about it being quasi-criminal and civil, is there often charges of assault linked to filing the PFA, which would be criminal?
I don't know about often,
Okay.
and Lieutenant can chime in if she would like, but I would say the majority of PFAs, or the PFAs themselves, not linked to anything criminal yet, or maybe there will be, or maybe there was. Sometimes, though, yes, there are, simple assault charges at the same time as the PFA.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Or worse. I mean, this is why we're doing this. And we've done a presentation to my hometown, Springfield Township. We joined up with some commissioners, your counterparts in Springfield, the district judge, a lieutenant from the Springfield Police, and we did a presentation on all of the different resources for survivors, because there was just someone with a PFA in Springfield just a couple years ago where the husband was hiding out in Ben Salem. He came back to the house, broke in, and killed her. And so that is, obviously the worst case scenario. And it is a piece of paper. It will not protect you completely, obviously. But it is a powerful piece of paper in a lot of ways, though. So we want to make sure people know about it. So if we can go to the next slide, please, and please ask questions. So I know each of you, and I know some of you very well. So I'm very confident in saying this. What I wake up and ask myself every morning, and I know you do the same as elected officials, how can I help people who need help the most? And if you ask that question, it's going to all work out, right? You find the people that need the help in Horsham, you try to figure out resources for them. So that's what inspires me. That's what I'm trying to do. So in that vein, what we've tried to do with survivors, because I think survivors from domestic violence are the people that need help the most in Montgomery County, are two things. One, that packet that I was talking about, 27-page packet, that whole first step, you come into court administration and you have to fill that out. You can now do that anywhere where you have an internet hookup. At home, at a friend's house, at the library, anywhere where there's internet, you can log on to my website, Prothonotary, Montgomery County, and you can go to under the PFA tab, and they'll have the electronic packet. You could fill out a page of it. You could fill out all 27 pages. Either way, it's going to be at court administration waiting for you, whatever you did fill out, for another 4 days. So if you decide to come 3 days after you started to fill it out, it's still going to be there. This goes to your question about how long is it? Is it always 8 hours? That kind of thing, or is it always 8 hours? This cuts out, if people were going to spend 7 hours in the courts, they're not only going to spend maybe 4.5 hours, right? It cuts out that whole first tedious process. Still have to come to my office with that electronic packet, and we got to pump in the information. But it really cuts out that whole first step. We're only the second county in the Commonwealth to do this. 2026, kind of shocking that, an electronic packet, you would think that everybody can do this, but there are some counties that don't even have electronic filing at all with any civil legal papers. So I'm very, very proud of the fact that we're only the second county in the Commonwealth to do this, and I think it's really helping people. If we can go to the next slide. So the second initiative, and we started these initiatives or launched these initiatives a couple years ago, and we're trying to go around to every municipality in Montgomery County, just like this, and present to everyone. There are 62 municipalities, townships or boroughs. We're trying to get around to all of them. And the point is to try to get this out there to the local elected officials, the people that are really well respected within the municipalities, that people will listen to so you can get the word out, and also for law enforcement. So I was just talking to your lieutenant about a couple of these things before the meeting. We love to do this. We worked with Kevin Steele and the police chiefs on these initiatives, but I want to keep reminding people so your police officers know about these initiatives, specifically our Hope Card. So when you get a final order, it looks like this, right? 8 by 11, multiple pages. Again, when I was a district attorney, I did a lot of domestic violence cases, and never, ever did the survivor keep her PFA final order on her person, right? Why would? It's cumbersome, you're folding it up, whatever. Maybe it was in their glove compartment. So the idea is that this is a really powerful tool, but you want it right where you can access it. So what we developed is a Hope Card. A Hope Card, I'm going to pass these along. On one side of the Hope Card is the important information that your police need, the PFAD number, that state identification number, so that when your lieutenant is out there and someone comes up to her, they're shopping here in the township, and they say, that man right there has abused me, I have a PFA, here's my Hope Card. She can look right at it and go, PFAD number, got it, and type that into her system and see everything. It's got the petitioner's name, the plaintiff, the defendant. That's the pertinent information that your law enforcement need to look up everything. And on the back of the Hope Card are resources. You have Laurel House, the Women's Center of Montgomery County, the Montgomery County Bar Association, Victim Services Center of Montgomery County, because not every survivor is going to reach out and get help right away. They may not be ready for that, but we want them to have the resources so when they are ready, they can find, they have those contact information and they can call those resources with ease. So the whole idea is that you have an extra layer of protection. Help law enforcement have an extra layer of protection right on your person that you can keep in your purse, keep on your wallet, keep in your pocket, whatever. So this Hope Card program is one of a kind here in Pennsylvania. I'm really, really proud of this. We're the first and only county to have this. This is being done in Washington State by law, Montana. We've had so many meetings in the last few months because Pennsylvania is looking to do this statewide. And it's also some organizations, judicial organizations in the legal community are trying to get this done nationwide. And so they've been calling us because we're as far as we know, the only place that's doing it by county. So I'm really, really proud of the Hope Card program. And I just hope you'll let everybody know about it. So.
Thank you for the presentation. It is amazing work. When did this launch?
So it launched just over 2 years ago, and thank you. And like I said a few minutes ago, we've been traveling the county, just trying to go out, because I think you do these things as an elected official, right? And you can sit there and you can do it and then go, I did it, look at me, what a neat thing. But if people don't know about it, it's not impacting anybody. So we go out there and we're trying to tell people about it and make sure they know about it. I did just hear a story, though, from someone in Philadelphia at a domestic violence survivor organization. She was working with a survivor, and they showed her the Hope card that they had received in Montgomery County. So they're out there. People have them. Like I said, 30 to 50 petitioners a week. Not all of those go to final orders, though. Right, so we're not issuing 30 to 50 Hope cards a week. We only issue those if the judge has said final order for a PFA.
And they're provided at the same time as the packet, the paperwork?
So they're provided a few days later. So by law, as prothonotary, I have to send every single order out. It's part of the law. So my office is constantly sending all kinds of orders out. Whenever a PFA order is sent out, we send out a letter from me explaining what the Hope card is with the Hope card. This is so minimal for taxpayer dollars. It's the print shop with the county, printing up a few a week, laminating. It's virtually nothing.
And what else can we do to help spread the word? I know that we will plan to post this later after the meeting tonight and get the information out there through our township social media, but is there anything else that you can recommend or any other ways that we can help and support?
First off, thank you. And blasting it out on your social media, talking to your constituents about it, being on the lookout for people. You're going to, as elected officials, I guarantee you're going to have victims come up to you and ask for help. I guarantee it. And just to let them know that my office is a resource, but there's lots of resources out there. That's why we put them on the Hope card. I recommend, putting literature from my office here in the county, in the township building maybe, in the police department if it's not there already. Information for Laurel House. Laurel House is just such a wonderful organization and such a resource. So putting out that literature I think is really important. My outreach director, Ann, can get you that literature, not a problem. We've got really neat literature in all kinds of languages. It's amazing the amount of languages that are spoken here in Montgomery County, and we've tried to cover a number of them. So that would be very helpful. It was a real honor and really just kind of special because this council is awesome. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, council.
Our prothonotary is awesome.
Yep. We're going to get your picture to help promote the program. We'll get your picture with council.
To your right. Keep going, Ruth. There you go. Good. Nope.
So moving on tonight, the next item up is opportunity for questions and comments from the public. Seeing none, we will move on. Approval of the list of checks.
I move to approve the list of checks in all funds from July 17th, 2026 to July 22nd, 2026 in the amount of $684,708.03 and further move to authorize payment of same.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. There are no new zoning hearing board applications to be heard in August. And then we'll move along to consider a proposal from Arrow Land Solutions LLC for right-of-way acquisition services regarding the Blair Mill Road Phase 3 and Horsham Road Corridor Improvement Projects.
As you might be aware, both of these roads, Blair Mill Road and Horsham Road, are state-owned, PennDOT-maintained roads. PennDOT requires us, as improvements are done, to utilize a right-of-way acquisition service company that is certified by PennDOT. There are 5 across the Commonwealth. And in front of you this evening is proposals. We did this for Blair Mill Road Phase 2 and also the land acquisitions that we did for the Horsham Road Limeco Pike intersection project that's moving along. So we used a a different company that the owner retired, so we have to go with another company. But it's Aero Land Solutions LLC. They are certified by the state for right-of-way acquisition services. The first project, which is the Blair Mill Road Phase 3, is still in engineering and design, but we're getting closer to having to do right-of-way negotiations. There are 9 properties on Blair Mill Road Phase 3. None of these properties are a full take. This is a few feet of the front yard. So that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about taking a home or taking a business. We're talking about a few feet of someone's front yard to widen the road. So I think we had about 13 properties in Blair Mill Road Phase 2. So Phase 3 is our last phase, and it involves 9 properties. Their price in their proposal is $62,903.26. Their proposal for the Horsham Road widening, which is basically from the bridge in front of Kohler Park down to Babylon Road. There are 4 properties, and their proposal is $28,364.52. These dollars and these numbers align with what we did for Phase 2, Blair Mill Road, as well as the intersection right-of-way acquisitions, and both are fully covered by grants.
I move to approve the proposal dated June 26, 2026, in the amount of $62,903.26 as submitted from Aero Land Solutions LLC for right-of-way acquisition services regarding the Blair Mill Road Phase 3 corridor improvement project. I move to approve the proposal dated June 26, 2026 in the amount of $28,364.52 as submitted from Aero Land Solutions LLC for the right-of-way acquisition services regarding the Horsham Road corridor improvement project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item up is to consider results of the following bids: contractor milling, paving, line painting project, milling for the township paving project, and line painting.
So for our milling project, for our paving project, we received 3 bids. Alan Myers came in at $769,958.40. Harris Blacktopping Incorporated came in at $735,775.79. And James D. Morrissey Incorporated came in at $695,304.06. And James D. Morrissey is the recommended lowest responsible bidder. For the milling, we received also 3 bids. A. Giuliani and Company Incorporated came in at $70,733.64. Harris Blacktopping Incorporated came in at $66,230, and James D. Morrissey Incorporated came in at $53,513.84. They are the recommended lowest bidder for milling. And finally, line painting, we received 2 bids. D.E. Kimball Incorporated came in at $91,533.90, and Zone Striping Incorporated came in at $84,174.92, which is the recommended lowest bidder this evening.
I move to, sorry. I just wanted to clarify, do we do these each separate?
Yes.
Okay.
Because each one is a different contract.
That's what okay, thank you.
I move to award the 2026 milling, paving, and line painting bid to James D. Morrissey in the amount of $695,000, $304.06, and hereby authorize execution of the contract for the same.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I move to award the 2026 contracted milling bid to James D. Morrissey in the amount of $53,513.84 and hereby authorize execution of the contract for same.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I move to award the 2026 line painting bid to Zone Striping, Inc. in the amount of $84,174.92 and hereby authorize execution of this contract for same.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that concludes our items for tonight. So with that, I will announce that the next Horsham Township Council meeting will be held on Wednesday, August 12th at 6 p.m. Farmers Market is every Sunday, June through October, 10 to 1 at the library. And National Night Out is Tuesday, August 4th, 6 to 9 at the Municipal Complex. And with that, meeting is adjourned. Yay.